I'm going to call us to order. I'm going to call to order the meeting of the Board of Water Commissioners for Tuesday evening, November 10th, 2020. This meeting is being held remotely as an alternate means of public access pursuant to an order issued by the Governor of Massachusetts dated March 12th, 2020, suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law. You are hereby advised that this meeting and all communications during this meeting may be recorded by the town of Hingham in accordance with the open meeting law. If any participant wishes to record this meeting, please notify the chair at the start in accordance with Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 20F, so that the chair may inform all other participants of said recording. Welcome to Harbor Media. I will ask at this point if there is anyone who is recording the meeting. Okay, seeing none, we have one item on our agenda for this evening, which is the authorization to enter into an agreement for a cost of service study for the Rear River water system. We are joined by Superintendent Russell Tierney. Russ, how about maybe, I know you've sent the board a package of information, the contract, as well as the proposal. Perhaps for the benefit of the board and the public, you could just give some headlines of what this entails.
Sure. So what we have on the table tonight is a contract from the Abrahams Group, who a lot of us know are currently working with us and worked on the transition. Their main objective in this proposal is to look at the water rates, how they're structured, make sure that the rates are exactly what we need to keep the water system up and running, and also have sufficient revenues for capital improvements over the next 5 years. This is going to be a 5-year thing. We're going to look at it over 10 years, but it's going to be a 5-year set in place, and then they'll look at it again in another 5 years. One of the things we looked at the most after we had all our meetings was currently the water rate payers are paying 7 different charges. They're paying water use, a service charge, a treatment facility fixed surcharge, a treatment facility O&M surcharge, private fire hydrant surcharges, public fire hydrant surcharges, fire prevention charges, and the MRAM charges, which are the capital on the distribution system. So we want to look at all those and see how we can make it streamlined and make it a little easier for people to understand and read. So they're going to look at our overall costs, our indirect costs, debt services, fringe benefits, everything that we need to run this water system properly over the next 10 years and forever into the future. They're going to look at all these things, determine exactly what's the best way to structure the rates, how to make sure that we have enough money to keep on going with the capital improvements and make this the best water system in the state. That's what it's going to do to us.
Okay. Joe, questions for Russ?
I've looked at the agreement. I've looked at the package. It looks complete. If you could just review with us the costs and the timing for this work.
Yep. So it's going to be hand in hand with the capital plan, the master plan. The cost is $62,000, which is under budget, which is good. The budget we had all put together was 75, so it's under budget. The timing is it'll be done before the next fiscal year. That's what we all decided. That's what they have promised to us. So we're looking for the final report sometime in like June or May or June, which will correspond with the I keep calling asset management, but the capital improvement plan, the master plan.
Right, and they're committing to provide an interim draft report sometime in May, I believe. Yes,
definitely. Yep. And the other two is, Joe, I know we're talking about this right now, but as far as the master plan goes, we've talked to EP, and we are working hand in hand with both those companies. Are going to be together throughout this whole process on both parts of that, so that we have the best product at the very end. So the timing is exactly the same for both.
One of the objects of the study is going to be to look at comparative rates. Mm-hmm. And I understand you're going to select up to 5 communities for the comparison.
Yes, yeah. So that was brought up by the T&E committee. I thought it was a great recommendation by them. And I will get their input, your input, and input from the committee, the advisory committee, and see what everybody feels the town should be. And Abraham is going to give their input too. So we'll have a nice pool to choose from, and then we'll all choose 5.
Great. Okay, I've got no other questions. Great job. Thank you.
Thanks.
Bill?
No question, Mary. Thank you.
Okay. Russ, a couple things. One is I just want to pick up on the timing and things, and just, I know that there's an interim report that's due May 15th, and you're on a sort of path that would allow for the rates to take effect in the new fiscal year. I would just point out that for Hingham, Hull, and Cohasset, who purchase water from the water system, we'll be doing our budgets in like the March timeframe. Our town meetings will be voting in April. So I think that it would be very helpful if we could potentially ask the Abrahams group to just give us some sort of guidance for budgeting purposes for the municipalities. Just as a frame of reference, Hingham's emergency water in the past has been over $500,000. So, we would certainly want to have a sense of that.
Okay.
Yeah, and then two other things. I did notice that there was talk about having this cost of service study and establishing rates for 5 years. I would just remind everybody, and this is one of the things we said we were going to do when we bought the water system, was do a cost of service study in year one. In the financial projections, we looked at rate increases every 3 years. And so I just think that as we march through this, as we're looking at how long the rate structure would be in place, inevitably people are going to ask the question of how do the rates that are being proposed compare to what was originally projected? And if that time horizon has changed a little bit, we're just going to need to kind of work through that. I think we need to do what's right for the water system. And I think the Abrahams group will be very helpful in guiding us in that.
One of the big things Mark and Matt were talking about, Mary, was that it's also the rates, but it's also the structure of how it's all in there. It's the confusion and people asking a lot of questions. So that's the stuff they're going to look at too. They're going to dig into how can we have the same revenues we have, but make it easier for people to understand. That's basically a big part of it.
Yeah.
And
I think that Aquarian had a rate structure that was in many ways based on how the water system was organized within their corporate entities and for different reasons. So I think there's a lot of opportunity to both to simplify the rate structure as well.
Agreed.
And then Russ, I'm so glad that the T&E committee is going to be involved. I noticed in the Abrahams proposal, there were a lot of different questions that they've put forward that I think gave me some assurance that their process is going to be really comprehensive. I would encourage, one of the main purposes of the T&E committee is to be support to you as we go through the cost of service study and through the capital study. I would also say that maybe it's just because the numbers, and I like the numbers, but I would also recommend at the onset that in terms of going through some of those questions, I'd recommend that the Abrahams group sit down with John Asher and myself to just provide a little bit of historical context that might be helpful in terms of how this work goes forward.
So Mary, just so you know, that's the kickoff meeting, and we definitely have that in play. We talked about it a lot during our meetings, and that kickoff meeting is exactly what that's for. So
yeah. And okay. I would encourage reaching out to John Asher, who is the former chair of the Water Acquisition Study Committee, because his perspective will be helpful. And also, John was instrumental in providing support to the town through the existing rate cases. And I just think that some of that context would be helpful at the start. And the last thing I just say to my colleagues is we've had the pleasure of working with the Abrahams group on a revenue analysis a year ago. The quality of their work is second to none. They meet and exceed deadlines. They understand water system rates very, very well. And we are in good hands partnering with them on this.
Agreed.
At this point, before the board takes a vote, I would open it up to members of the public if anyone has a question or wishes to make a comment with respect to the cost of service study for the water system. Okay, seeing none, I'd accept a motion.
I'll move to Authorize the town administrator to sign the agreement with Mark D. Abrahams CPA, DBA The Abrahams Group, to prepare a cost of service study for the Ware River Water System in an amount not to exceed $62,000.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor by roll call vote. Joe?
Aye.
Bill?
Aye.
Mary? Aye. Thank you very much. And Russ, thank you for putting together such a comprehensive package. Before we adjourn this meeting, the last item of business on the Board of Water Commissioners agenda is public comment. We invite members of the public to address the Board of Water Commissioners. We ask that comments be limited to 3 minutes per speaker and that they relate to topics within the scope of responsibility of the Water Commissioners. At this point, would anyone like to make a public comment to the Board of Water Commissioners? Okay, seeing none, I will accept a motion to adjourn the Board of Water Commissioners. We will keep the line open and pause until 7 o'clock, at which point we will call the Board of Selectmen meeting to order. At this point, I would accept a motion to adjourn the Board of Water Commissioners meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor, Joe?
Aye.
Bill?
Aye.
Mary? Aye. Okay, thank you, Russ. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Um,
Thanks, Russ.